Storyteller is a fun story told by a young man named Mahendra to his friend Ganesh. Mahendra works as a junior supervisor for a company that lends out supervisors for different building places, like factories, bridges, and dams. Mahendra's job is to watch all the activities at the work site. He has to move to new places often, wherever his main office tells him to go. For example, he might move from a coal mine to a railway bridge building site, and then, after a few months, to a chemical plant. Mahendra is a bachelor, which means he is not married. He doesn't need many fancy things and can easily live in all sorts of simple places, whether it's a basic guest house or even a tent made of canvas in a stone quarry. But Mahendra has one great helper, his cook, Iswaran. Iswaran is very loyal to Mahendra and follows him everywhere he is sent, without ever complaining. Iswaran cooks for Mahendra, washes his clothes, and talks with him at night. Iswaran is super good at making up endless stories and funny tales about all sorts of things. Iswaran also has a surprising ability to find vegetables and cooking ingredients. It's like they appear out of nowhere, even in lonely places where there are no shops around for miles. He can magically whip up the most delicious meals with fresh vegetables within just an hour of arriving at their new metal sheet shelter at the workplace. Mahendra wakes up early in the morning and leaves for work after breakfast, taking some food packed by Iswaran with him. While Mahendra is at work, Iswaran tidies up their shed, washes the clothes, and takes a long, relaxing bath, pouring many buckets of water over his head while saying a prayer. Then it's lunchtime for Iswaran. After eating, he reads for a bit before taking a nap. The book is usually a very popular Tamil thriller, hundreds of pages long. The exciting descriptions and lively way the stories are told really grab Iswaran's attention. Iswaran's own stories are greatly influenced by the Tamil writers he reads. Even when he tells about the smallest things, he tries to add suspense and a surprising ending. For example, instead of just saying he saw a fallen tree on the road, he would make it exciting. He would raise his eyebrows and hold out his hands dramatically, saying, "The road was empty and I was all alone. Suddenly, I saw something that looked like a giant, bushy monster lying stretched across the road. I almost wanted to turn back and go home. But as I got closer, I saw it was just a fallen tree with its dry branches spread out." Mahendra would just lean back in his canvas chair and listen to Iswaran's stories without questioning them. Iswaran would often begin his stories by saying, "The place I come from is famous for timber." Meaning of timber is wood from trees, especially cut and prepared for use. He would explain there's a thick forest all around, and elephants are used to pull the heavy logs onto lorries, trucks. He would describe these elephants as huge and well-fed. He'd then say that when these elephants go wild, even the most experienced mahout, meaning of mahout, is a person who drives and cares for an elephant, cannot control them. After this introduction, Iswaran would start an exciting story about an elephant. One day, Iswaran said, "A big elephant meaning of tusker is a male elephant, especially one with tusks escaped from the timber yard and started to wander around. It stamped on bushes, pulled up wild climbing plants, and broke branches however it wanted." He would then ask Mahendra if he knew how an elephant behaves when it goes mad. Iswaran would get so caught up in his own story that he would stand up from the floor and jump around, stomping his feet to act like the mad elephant. He would continue, "The elephant reached the edge of our town, breaking down fences as if they were tiny matchsticks. It came onto the main road and smashed all the stalls selling fruits, mud pots, and clothes. People ran everywhere in a panic. The elephant then entered a school playground where children were playing, breaking through the brick wall. All the boys ran into their classrooms and shut the doors tightly. The huge animal grunted and wandered around, pulling out the football goalpost, tearing down the volleyball net, kicking and flattening the drum used for water, and pulling up the small shrubs. Meanwhile, all the teachers had climbed up to the roof of the school building. From there, they helplessly watched the elephant's destruction, meaning of depredations, are acts of attacking or plundering. Here, meaning the elephant's destructive acts. There was not a single person on the ground below. The streets were empty, as if everyone in the whole town had suddenly disappeared. Iswaran claimed, "I was studying in the junior class at that time and was watching the whole drama from the rooftop." He added, "I don't know what came over me suddenly. I grabbed a cane from the hands of one of the teachers and ran down the stairs and into the open. Meaning of cane is a stick, often made of rattan or bamboo, used for walking, support, or sometimes as a weapon. The elephant grunted and dangerously swung a tree branch it held in its trunk. It stamped its feet, kicking up a lot of mud and dust, and looked very frightening. "But I moved slowly towards it, stick in hand," Iswaran said. People were watching the scene, as if hypnotized from nearby housetops. The elephant looked at me with red eyes, ready to rush towards me. It lifted its trunk and trumpeted loudly, he continued. At that moment, I moved forward, and gathering all my strength, hit its third toenail very quickly. The beast looked stunned for a moment, then it shivered from head to foot, and collapsed. At this exciting point, Iswaran would usually stop the story, leaving it unfinished. He would get up mumbling, "I will be back after lighting the gas and warming up the dinner." Mahendra, who had been listening with great attention, would be left waiting to hear the end. When Iswaran came back, he wouldn't start the story right away. Mahendra would have to remind him that the ending was still pending. Iswaran would then casually shrug and say, "Well, a veterinary doctor was called to revive the animal." 2 days later, it was led away by its mahout to the jungle. Mahendra would ask, "Well, how did you manage to do it, Iswaran? How did you bring down the beast?" Iswaran would reply, "It has something to do with a Japanese art, I think, sir. Karate or jujitsu it is called. I had read about it somewhere. It temporarily paralyzes the nervous system, you see." Meaning of paralyzes the nervous system means to make the body's communication system, nerves, temporarily stop working or slow down, causing temporary loss of movement or feeling. Not a single day passed without Iswaran telling some story full of adventure, horror, and suspense. Whether the story was believable or not, Mahendra enjoyed listening to it because of Iswaran's amazing way of telling it. Iswaran seemed to make up for not having a TV in Mahendra's living quarters and more. One morning, while Mahendra was having breakfast, Iswaran asked, "Can I make something special for dinner tonight, sir? After all, today is an auspicious day. According to tradition, we prepare various delicacies to feed the spirits of our ancestors today, sir." Meaning of auspicious day is a day considered to be favorable, lucky, or promising for events or activities. That night, Mahendra enjoyed a really delicious dinner and told Iswaran how great his cooking was. Iswaran seemed very pleased, but then, unexpectedly, started telling a very scary story about supernatural things. "You know, sir, this entire factory area we are living in was once a burial ground," he began. This suddenly pulled Mahendra out of the pleasant thoughts he had after his satisfying meal. "I knew on the first day itself, when I saw a human skull lying on the path. Even now I come across a number of skulls and bones," Iswaran continued. He went on to say that he sometimes saw ghosts at night. "I'm not easily frightened by these things, sir. I'm a brave fellow," Iswaran claimed. "But one horrible ghost of a woman which appears off and on at midnight during the full moon. It is an ugly creature with matted hair and a shriveled face, like a skeleton holding a fetus in its arms." Mahendra shivered at this description and interrupted quite sharply. "You are crazy, Iswaran. There are no such things as ghosts or spirits. It is all a figment of your imagination," Mahendra said. "Get your digestive system examined and maybe your head as well. You are talking nonsense." He left the room and went to bed for the night, expecting Iswaran to be upset and sulk for a couple of days. But the next morning, he was surprised to find his cook as cheerful and talkative as ever. From that day on, despite all his brave talk, Mahendra went to bed with a feeling of uneasiness. Every night he would peer into the darkness outside through the window next to his bed. He tried to make sure there were no dark shapes moving around nearby, but he could only see a vast area of darkness with the tiny twinkling lights of the factory far away. He had always enjoyed looking at the bright white landscape on full moon nights. But after hearing Iswaran's story about the female ghost, he completely avoided looking out of his window when the moon was full. One night, Mahendra was woken up from his sleep by a low moaning sound close to his window. At first, he thought it was just a cat prowling around looking for mice. But the sound was too deep and throaty. Meaning of guttural sound is a harsh, throaty sound, often low in pitch for a cat. He tried to resist the urge to look out, fearing he might see something that would make his heart stop. But the wailing got louder and sounded less like a cat. Meaning of feline is relating to cats or other members of the cat family. He couldn't resist the temptation anymore. Lowering himself to the level of the windowsill, he looked out at the white sheet of moonlight outside. There, not too far away, was a dark, cloudy shape clutching a bundle. Mahendra broke into a cold sweat and fell back onto his pillow, panting. As he slowly recovered from the terrifying experience, he started to reason with himself. He finally decided that it must have been some kind of trick played by his own mind, a form of autosuggestion. By the time he got up in the morning, had a bath, and came out for breakfast, the horror of the previous night had faded from his memory. Iswaran greeted him at the door, with his lunch packet and his bag. Just as Mahendra was stepping out, Iswaran grinned and said, "Sir, remember the other day when I was telling you about the female ghost with a fetus in its arms? You were so angry with me for imagining things. Well, you saw her yourself last night. I came running, hearing the sound of moaning that was coming from your room. Yeah. Maini." A chill ran down Mahendra's spine. He didn't wait for Iswaran to finish his sentence. He hurried away to his office and handed in his resignation papers, deciding to leave the haunted place the very next day.